It's been over a year since we last saw a SailGP race. The last one in January 2020 was in Sydney, before the global pandemic took a hold. Since then, the America's Cup has dominated the conversation. We've seen a new generation of AC75s, and we've seen the Cup be won for a second time by New Zealand. And during that time, we've got used to saying names like Burling, Spithill and Ainslie. We've got used to talking about how successful they've been in their careers, and we've got used to describing them as the foiling masters. So when it came to turning our attention to SailGP, we thought we knew who'd be current and competitive. But there was at least one big name missing. Tom Slingsby, the 2019 SailGP champion. Still smarting at his defeat to Ainslie in January 2020 in Sydney, he turned up in Bermuda wanting revenge. The opening event in Bermuda was going to prove how little we really knew. Because when you put the best sailors in the world in identical, sophisticated and complex boats, you can forget the form guide. In the opening race, the French team, led by Billy Besson, led most of the way around before being overtaken by the Australians in the closing stages. The Kiwis were 6th, the Brits were 7th in the 8-boat fleet. In the second race, the Brits and the Kiwis were again rounding up the back of the fleet, with Jimmy Spithill's American team finishing 6th. And while Ainslie and Spithill rounded off the day with a 2nd and a 3rd in the final race, Peter Burling and the Kiwis couldn't get off the bottom rung of the ladder. Meanwhile, before the racing started, foiling rockstar Nathan Outridge admitted he hadn't raced for 14 months. But it didn't show, as his Japanese team ended the day in 3rd overall behind the 2nd place French. But there was one performance that remained solid throughout the opening day. Tom Slingsby and the Australians. 3 straight wins.
Really happy, couldn't be happier. For me, it wasn't really about the result, it's just how well we sailed together. When we had a little setback in the race, we came back and yeah, the guys just did an amazing job. I think we seem to be better in the windier conditions. We've always sort of shown that. We do need to keep pushing and practice that, but it's nice not to have the sort of pressure of performing in the first 2 races as much.
So apart from the Australians' dominant performance, any pre-season form guide was now in tatters. But it's a bold person that writes off top talent at this level, especially the likes of Burling, Spithill and Ainslie. Day 2 saw more breeze, smaller rigs and much higher stakes. Race 4 saw the Brits win the start and lead the fleet around the first mark, just. Around the bottom gate, Slingsby was in hot pursuit. The Kiwis were 3rd. Further back, Nathan Outridge's Japan team had misjudged attack and collided with Spithill's Team USA. Japan had a sliced bow, the Americans short of a wheel, both were out. The drama continued when Spithill capsized. But at the front of the fleet, the Brits held on to their lead, forcing the Australians to take 2nd and the Spanish 3rd. Race 5 saw Ainslie and the Kiwis take an early lead, only to hand it to Slingsby at the first leeward gate, after which the lead never changed. But the Brits recovered to finish 2nd, the Spanish 3rd and the French 4th, all of which meant that the top 3 teams for the final shootout were Australia, Britain and France. Now it was do or die. A tight start, but Ainslie held the advantage in the opening stages, forcing Slingsby into 2nd. And while the margin between the two concertinaed, Slingsby never broke through, leaving Ainslie's British team to take their first event win of the season. So while Tom Slingsby might have wanted to redress the balance after Sydney, Bermuda was not where it was going to happen. His, and indeed the rest of the fleet's next opportunity, is Taranto, Italy, on June the 5th and the 6th.
Cracking race. That was awesome. That's what we want to do for you. Go up against these guys in conditions like this. It was just perfect. And I've got to give huge credit to the team because we really struggled yesterday, as you probably saw. We worked hard trying to analyse what was going wrong with Rob Wilson, our coach, and Hannah Mills, who's been out here helping us as a female athlete. So big team effort.
So what can we take away from this opening event in the SailGP season? Well, one thing's for sure, if you get the world's best sailors, you put them on the world's fastest foiling cats, and you stick them on a tightly constrained course, you're in for some pretty exciting racing. Remember as well that the data that comes off these boats is made available to all the other teams in order to try and raise the speed at which teams learn how to sail these boats fast and learn off each other. It won't take the big guns long to figure it out. But there's one thing that looks absolutely certain, and that is with the level and the calibre of sailors that are involved in SailGP this season. This year looks like being an absolute cracker.